During today's session, we are going to talk about Scrum framework, being and doing of Scrum Master facilitation skills, and Scrum Master coaching skills. You may ask me why within AI Bootcamp you need to know about Scrum. Scrum is a framework that is used for various product delivery for the clients, and Scrum can be used for any team. I mean, it's not about software, it's about product delivery and client satisfaction. So we always think about within Scrum how to maximize the value of the people who are doing their job. So how to make our work really valuable for our clients. So whenever you're that data scientist, whatever, if you are a Java developer, or if you're a person within marketing department, or if just a person who are going to do the repairing of his or her house, Scrum may help you if you're working within a team and have a client for whom you are doing something. Let's have a short discussion about the terminology. Some people think that Scrum is an acronym, and it is not. So Scrum is a term from rugby game, and it represents the exact picture that you are seeing now. So Scrum is a part of rugby game where the two teams are competing for the ball that is somewhere between them. And Scrum means that you work very closely with your team members. So just shoulder to shoulder. There is another word here that is framework. So Scrum is not an acronym, but Scrum means that you're working closely with your team members and represents this part of the rugby game. But what is meant by framework? Because you may also hear that sometimes people say Scrum methodology or Scrum approach or Scrum something but not framework. Scrum correctly is called framework because it provides you a frame where you organize your work together with your team members. Let me provide you a metaphor. So now I'm sitting in a flat, I'm sitting in a room, and it has its frames itself. I mean, there are walls here, there is ceiling, there is floor. There are some constructions that you cannot remove without breaking the frame itself. So if I put away some walls, everything will be broken. So the same with Scrum. Scrum should be used as it is delivered to you with all its obligatory elements. There can be some flexibility, like within a room. I can move the furniture, I can change the decoration on the walls, but it will not endanger the whole framework. So Scrum is a framework, and there are elements that are obligatory to use for it, as otherwise it will not work. Sometimes people are saying Scrum is not working for us, but it's like putting away something from your washing machine, some details, and then saying it's not working. So let's see what details are obligatory in Scrum, and maybe some details are not obligatory in Scrum. I would like then to talk to you about the Scrum values and Scrum principles. It is a background of Scrum. So even if you do all the necessary exercises like Daily Scrum, if you are doing retrospectives, but values are not in place, it will not work for you either. So there are certain values that you should support with your actions, together with your team members, together with your guild members. For instance, you may, during this AI bootcamp, decide to use Scrum as a framework for collaboration and cooperation with your guild members. So you might think about who may be a Scrum Master within your team, who a product owner. So you may, after this recording, think about how you can start applying Scrum at your daily work within this guild that you are a part of. And while doing so, think about what actions support courage, focus, commitment, and respect and openness. So what you are doing on daily basis or on a weekly basis, if you are gathering on a weekly basis together with your guild members, how you can be courageous, how you can keep focus, how you be committed to the goals that you're setting for your guild, how you can respect each other's competencies, skills, and how you can be open to each other. Let me show you a very small video, by the way, with rugby, that is representing rugby part. And
can he roll over and score? Yes, he has.
What a piece of play from Mark Nonu there. This pass from Nonu is wondrous. A miracle ball there. And this guy, Surveyor, has been brilliant. His second try, but he owes it all to Mark Nonu.
But now the All Blacks have an opportunity to break out. Sonny Bill Williams gets a lovely ball away to Ria. Rico, you on it? What a ball from Williams. What a run.
I think you saw by yourself lots of games, lots of team games. And you may see how in team games and in this particular game, rugby game, these values reveal itself. So these people have enough courage, I think, as you saw. They keep focus. They have some goal and they're moving to this goal. They're committed to this goal. They respect like rules of the game, even their competitors. And they're open. They don't say, okay, you know, it's not my job. I just take a ball, put it there, and what is happening then, it's not my business. So I just pass a ball to someone else, did my duties for today, and I'm fine. They work as a team. And the same way, Scrum team should coordinate within itself. Otherwise, again, Scrum will not work and you will not get its fruitful results. Apart from the values, Scrum has certain principles. It's like inspection, adaptation, and transparency. Let me show you how these principles work together with values and maybe even together with practices. For instance, I think many of you, even without Scrum, without Agile, are familiar with the process of planning. So from time to time, team is gathering together and do planning meeting. And we also have this event in Scrum. So during the planning, the team, if it's quite a good team, they're focusing on their short time horizon or mid-time horizon and try to understand what actually is required for stakeholders to get on this time of period. So they keep this short or long time focus out of all the requirements, and sometimes they have very, very long lists of requirements. They try to understand what portion of these requirements they would like to plan for their short time or mid-time period. So they keep focus. And in this way, they're inspecting the long list of requirements. And they're making adaptation of this list of requirements. So they're making adaptation of the portion of the requirements that is required for stakeholders on a short or mid-term period. And in such a way, they're increasing the transparency for everybody. So they're increasing the transparency for themselves. For instance, they're trying to understand what will be required from them on this period. They are trying to understand the needs of the clients, the needs of the market for this period. Maybe they will need some external resources. Maybe they have some dependencies to other teams. So they're doing the inspection of all the requirements. They're making the adaptation, taking some part of these requirements out of this long list, creating a short-term sprint or short-term iteration plan, and increasing the transparency in such a way for themselves and for the clients. And in this way, all the values and all the principles and all the practices in Scrum work together, like enriching and empowering itself. If you would like, by the way, to watch the video that I have already showed to you, you can go to Miraboard, and Miraboard can be found with the help of this slide again. So there are links to the mirror exercises. Miraboard is all the same for all exercises, for all videos to see, for all teams, for all guilds, but you will be directed to particular exercises if you click this link. So if you would like to watch these video, you should go to session 2, Scrum Master role and responsibilities area on the board, and just press on this video and use this source link and go and see this video. But we're moving further. And we're going to talk about the practices within Scrum framework. So we talked a bit about values and about how team works as one unit, as one organism, supporting the values. We talked about the principles. So in Scrum, everything is about inspection and adaptation. We inspect some artifact and make adaptation of these artifacts. And in this way, we're increasing the transparency for ourselves and for people who depend on us. Let's start talking about the practices and going deeper into the framework itself. So, and let's start probably with roles. There are 3 roles in Scrum. It's quite easy to remember 3 roles. So there is Scrum Master role, there is Product Owner role, and there is Development Team role. Probably we will start with Scrum Master role, that it is like in some way crucial role that supports the Scrum framework and coach everybody in understanding of this framework. So Scrum Master is someone who is owning the process of Scrum, while Product Owner, it is someone who is owning the content of the project. So Product Owner, it is the person who knows exactly what should be done, but Scrum Master helps development team to make it happen. Scrum Master organizes the process. And you might think, why do we need actually any rules? Why do we need any process within our team? We can be quite a small team, like 5 or 6 people, and Scrum usually consists from 3 to 9 people. So we all have common sense, we're smart, so why we need any rules? But you know, it's like with traffic rules. Maybe all drivers are smart people. Maybe all drivers know what they're doing. But still, if you start spending time during the driving on organizational issues on the road, when you start just talking to people, discussing who should do what, you will be wasting your time. So Scrum framework provide you rules of working, and Scrum Master is the person who knows these rules. So Scrum Master is helping to organize the work so all the rest of the team can focus on the work itself and don't think about the process. So it's pretty good when all teams within organization using Scrum as a background, basic rules, and have like one rules for everybody, and all understands the process. So whenever you need to go to another team, you know when they have planning meeting, you know when they have retrospective meeting, so you can join it if you'd like to, and the team allows you to do this. So it's very convenient. Scrum allows you to, it provides you possibility to focus on the product, not on the process. And again, Scrum Master is the person who knows what is the process about. I would like to show you this slide, since we're talking about Scrum Master role and responsibilities. And here we can see lots of services that Scrum Master provides to product owner, development team, and organization. This is taken from Scrum Guide. It is the Bible of Scrum. It is the main book of Scrum. So if you need to know like everything about Scrum, you should go to this book. And good news, this book is very short. It's like 16 or 80 pages, 18 pages, depending on the language. So it's pretty short, pretty precise, but make sure you will follow then these rules. So let's talk about services of Scrum Master for the product owner. Let's see, for instance, this rule, like Scrum Master should help Scrum team to understand the need for clear and concise product backlog items. How Scrum Master can do this? For instance, Scrum Master can organize the meeting that is called product backlog refinement, where the product owner will be explaining to the team members what are expected by stakeholders. So Scrum Master can help product owner to become prepared. Scrum Master can have a look at this product backlog, and together with product owner and maybe also invite stakeholders, get prepared for this meeting. Also, there can be another problem that I have faced when being a Scrum Master. When the team with whom I was working were always listening with great interest what product owner is telling to them, listening to their explanation of the requirements, of their expectations, and then forgetting it. So product owner was very frustrated that she needed to explain several times to their team members what is expected from them while they were not asking the questions at all. So we decided that we will have 2 product backlog sessions, not 1, 2 product backlog sessions. On the first backlog session, product backlog refinement session, the product owner will explain the requirements to the team, but on the next session, the team members should explain product owner what and how they're going to implement these product backlog items. And on this particular session, we start getting the questions from team members. So Scrum Master can help product owner to make sure that development team understands what is required from them. Scrum Master can also help development team to facilitate different events, to mitigate conflicts within the team, and to coach the team about different approaches for requirements estimation. For instance, Scrum Master can help the team to prepare good demonstration of results to stakeholders and all the rest. So Scrum Master can remove some impediments that the team has during their daily life. And that is not all what Scrum Master is responsible for, but Scrum Master should also provide service to organization where this development team is located. So Scrum Master should educate people around the team how to deal with the team. For instance, once we had a demo together with my team, we had a demo for stakeholders. And it was the first demo, everybody was nervous about it. And when the team demoed the product to stakeholders, they start asking questions, and that is fine. But one of the stakeholders start criticizing the team and start saying, guys, it's not something that I was expecting. Actually, I was expecting it 2 months before, so you're not in time, I'm unhappy. And he was doing it like for 15, 20 minutes. Using facilitation and coaching techniques, I very politely interrupted him and invited him to take a part in our next planning session, where he will be able to set his expectations to the team members through product owner of our team. So product owner can manage his expectations. And then we all will be on the same page of what is expected from us. So during the next time when the stakeholder came, it was everything clear for him what he is going to see. So, and the conflict was resolved. The problem here was that he was not sure where and in what way he should provide us his expectations. So as a Scrum Master, you can make this flow very transparent for everybody. Let's go back to our diagram about roles, responsibilities, and events and artifacts. So shortly about the roles again. Scrum Master is the person who is responsible for the process and making sure everybody understands Scrum, impediments are resolved, and events are mitigated. Product owner is the person who is responsible for the product, making sure that the team is working on the right items. So if your team members don't know what to do, go to your product owner. And development team is actually making their hands dirty with the work. So they are doing the work, they're providing the service, or they're providing the product. They're doing it through several artifacts. It is how they call it in Scrum. There is product backlog, Product backlog is the list of all requirements that are known for this particular time about the product or the service that development team is doing. And as you can see on this screenshot, that some of the items of this product backlog are like of small size, and some items of the product backlog are of bigger size. It means they're not refined yet. So usually, and it's like it's not the obligatory practice to follow, but a recommendation. So some items that are already refined and ready to be taken into the work, they are refined, they're small in size, the size corresponds to the size of the iteration, the size of the sprint where it will be developed, inside which it will be developed, like 1 week or 3 weeks. But items that are more down on the backlog are not so well refined, so well clarified. But during the time, they will be refined and clarified during these kind of meetings that I'm recommending you to do, like product backlog refinement sessions. So product backlog is one artifact which during sprint planning session is being updated, and part of this backlog becomes sprint backlog. So you take your product backlog, you again go through it during your planning session, take a portion of it and create a part of the functionality that will be developed during the next sprint. So it will be like sprint backlog. And then you start doing this functionality as a development team, start developing it. And at the end of the sprint, you'll get the third artifact of Scrum, and it is increment. Increment is delivered functionality plus all the functionality for this product that was developed and delivered beforehand. So it's like an onion. So you first create something small, and then there are layers, and each of these layers together with all the previous layers are the increment. And the increment is something that you demonstrate to your stakeholders and getting the feedback on. So we have 3 roles within Scrum team. It is Scrum Master, it is Product Owner, and it is Development team. We have 3 artifacts that, again, it's easy to remember. Product backlog, it's all requirements. Sprint backlog, it is the portion of requirements for the sprint. And increment, it is the product itself, potentially shippable to the market, something that can be demonstrated to stakeholders to get their feedback. And it may be also went to market if it is ready to do so. The team members, this development team, Scrum Master, and Product Owner, work on this artifact, on these 3 artifacts, through several events. These events are the places for inspection and adaptation. Remember these 3 principles of Scrum. So inspection, adaptation, we do it, and in this way we increase transparency. So let's speak about these events. The first event is actually the sprint itself. It is a container for all other events. Sprint is recommended to have no more than 1 month. It is the horizon that usually we can predict what will happen on the market, what will happen with us, do we need vacation? So it is some period of time that, from experience of the people who invented Scrum, is a recommended period where there will be not lots of changes, and you can make some accurate forecasting for this period of time. So it is called sprint, this iteration, one month's iteration. Definitely you can have shorter sprints, like 1 month, it's a time box. So you can have 1 week sprint or 2 week sprint or 3rd week sprint. From my experience and the teams with whom I work, we usually had 2 week sprints. And you may like to choose the optimum size of the sprint by empirical process. So you do a sprint of 1 week and see how much work you're able to do during this period. Are you comfortable with it? all team members are fine with it, then you can try 2-week sprints, 3-week sprint, and 4-week sprint. So again, no problems with trying if you can afford it. Definitely, when you're working not alone, when you have different teams dependent on you, so it is recommended to have the similar length of the sprint if you work on the same product or on the same service, because in this way you will be able at the end of your sprints do the integration all together and deliver the product, because sometimes it's not possible to do the product just by 5 or 6 people, so you need 50 people or 100 people. But it is another topic. It's a topic of scaling, and like scaling, and in this topic you need to use other frameworks like Scaled Agile framework, SAFe, it is called SAFe, or Nexus framework, or less framework, so it's other frameworks. And Scrum describes the work on this very small unit, no more than 9 people. So we have talked about the sprint that is container for all events. There is another event that is starting sprint, that it is the first event in the sprint, and it is called sprint planning. So the team, it is product owner, Scrum Master, and development team gathering together on sprint meeting and start planning. So how do they do this? They discuss their expectations for the market. They expect the expectations from stakeholders. The product owner is communicating these expectations, because the product owner is a person who is facing clients, facing stakeholders, and he or she bringing this information within the team. So product owner during planning meeting describes what is required, and team members are thinking about whether they're capable or not to do this functionality during the next sprint. And they start doing some forecasting, they start doing some estimation of the items of the product backlog, start thinking who will do what, and what is more important, what will be the goal of this sprint. So why actually we are starting this sprint. So there can be a number of issues that can be combined all together, and all the team will work on this particular functionality. And when the sprint is finished, they will demo this functionality to stakeholders. So during the planning, they plan their work for the sprint, and I think there is no surprises here. But what is different maybe from other frameworks, that you have a very particular due date, not for the task, but for the number of tasks that you need to develop during this time box. When you're done with sprint planning, you start doing your work. For instance, development teams start creating the product. Scrum Master help to resolve impediments. For instance, maybe some of the team members need access to some system that they don't have access to. So Scrum Master can facilitate creation of this access, talk to some people, maybe bring some people to this person who needs this access. Product owner on this particular time can start working on the next portion of requirements from product backlog, because the next sprint will start immediately after this sprint is finished. And they will have again sprint planning meeting, and product owner should be ready for this sprint planning meeting, having all requirements clarified with stakeholders. So product owner during the current sprint start working on the requirements for the next sprint and next sprint, in order to make sure that we will be able as a team to deliver what we have forecasted during the sprint planning meeting. We would like to have daily Scrum meetings. This meeting is for development team only to discuss their progress. So it is not a reporting meeting. So it is not the meeting where team members are gathered together, have some manager or product owner and report him or her the status. No, it's not about this. Team members are synchronizing their activities, because there can be dependencies on tasks. Or I will provide you another example. Some people in my team who were development team members, with Java competence, Java language competence, they told they don't want to participate in this daily scrum because it's just a waste of time. They don't need it. And then I asked, okay, guys and ladies, who needs this event? And then development team members, they all called this way in Scrum, development team members who has the quality assurance skills told me that they need this event because only this event, they understand which this or that feature will be finished in development, and they will be able to prepare for this feature some tests to test it afterwards. So they told, we really need it. And they asked these developers, so please guys come. And they say, okay, so if you need it, we will do this. So it's actually how Scrum Master also can work and help the team to coordinate their actions. So Daily Scrum is for team members to get synchronized about their movement to this sprint goal. Scrum Master is not supposed, but it's not obligatory for Scrum Master to come to Daily Scrum. But Scrum Master should ensure that the team has synchronized. Again, if your team is self-organized, it is having this meeting successfully, they are always successful in their forecasting and then delivery according to this forecasting, Scrum Master can skip this meeting and just make sure the team members don't have any impediments, and if team members didn't tell him or her about the impediments, then everything is fine. But definitely when you're working with teams who has just started implementing Scrum, I would recommend you to go as a Scrum Master to these events, to listen to the people, to help them, but not to, how to say, not to grab all attention to yourself. Don't lead this. Don't lead this meeting. Just do some facilitation. For instance, if you see that the meeting is going too slowly, you may suggest to the people, for instance, when one person has provided his or her information, he or she should call the next person who will start sharing his information about his or her information about his or her tasks and completion it to the goal. So in this way, the dynamic of this meeting will become more faster, and definitely everybody will benefit from it. Daily Scrum is happening each day, but it depends on your team members when you prefer to have this Daily Scrum. Most of the team have this Daily Scrum during their morning time. So like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., they're gathering together, looking what is ahead of them during the day and what they did during the previous day. So it's how it's comfortable for them. But since we are now all in different time zones and there are lots of distributed teams, so again, as a Scrum Master, coordinate your team when it's comfortable for all of you to have this synchronization meeting, because in Scrum it is not said that you should have this meeting at 10:30 a.m. Not. You should have this meeting whenever it's comfortable for you, one time in 24 hours. So when you're moving during your sprint, so you had the planning meeting and you have these small checkpoints each day, and you're moving to the end of your sprint, where you will have the sprint review session. And demo is the part of the sprint review session. On sprint demo session, sprint review session, you do demonstrate as a team members the product or services that you have developed during the sprint to the stakeholders, not to product owner, but to stakeholders who are invited kindly by product owner. And sometimes product owner can come to you when you're a Scrum Master and ask, who should I invite? I have like 50 stakeholders or 100 stakeholders. And Scrum Master can answer, okay, the people who may be interested in the software or in the product or service that we have developed during this sprint. So the people who are expecting it from us, they are the right people to be invited. They have the interest in it. Maybe they invest some budget on it already. So please invite them. During this event, The team is demonstrating the software. The stakeholders are asking them questions. Sometimes there is some critics, but you as the Scrum Master should teach people to communicate to one another so no one is demotivated, because we all wish to do best, but sometimes the ways that we choose are not very correct, but intentions are good. So you're the Scrum Master facilitating this cooperation between people, and also stakeholders and product owners, sorry, it is one person always, product owner, provide some information to the development team about the situation on the market, about their users' needs, about what they like in the current version of the product or the service. So they have a dialogue about what expect next and what from the whole expectations of the clients is delivered just particularly in this sprint, and what also we will need to deliver in a while, maybe next sprint. So we do the inspection of the product increment. Again, coming back to this, remember these principles of Scrum: inspection, adaptation, and transparency. So in this particular on this particular event, we do the inspection of increment, right? Product increment. We are looking at it, having conversation around it, around the situation on the market. And what do you think we make adaptation of? What we change? We don't change the increment because it's already provided, it's a product, it's potentially releasable product. But we do the adaptation. It is product owner who is doing this. The product owner is doing the adaptation of the product backlog. It is here. So product owner is writing down the expectations of the stakeholders into the product backlog. And in this way, he is making the adaptation of it. You see how these principles are working. They work in this way all the time through all the events. When we get the feedback from stakeholders, maybe it's good feedback, maybe it's not good, but still, we got it. After this, we are going to have sprint retrospective event. It is the final, it is the closing event in the sprint. So we're gathering together as a Scrum team, where there are these three roles: product owner, Scrum Master, and development team that consists of developers, the people who has the titles as developer. We're gathering together to discuss and to inspect our processes, the interactions, what was effective and what was not, what should be improved and what we are doing already good, what we are doing already good. So there are hundreds of formats how to do the retrospective. It is actually like bread and butter for Scrum Master, this retrospective event. You can do lots of facilitation of it using various techniques. I have prepared for you the website where you can see the recipes for this retrospective event. It is over there. So it is called Retromat, the website. If you're a Scrum Master, or you would like to be a Scrum Master, or you would like to try to be Scrum Master within your guild. So you go to this Retromat site and have a look at the different different recipes, different algorithms, how to do the retrospective. Again, on retrospective, you discuss definitely the feedback from your stakeholders, and you think about what can be improved, not from the point of technical view, but it may also be so, but what can be improved from your collaboration work view. So you're discussing processes, you're inspecting processes, and you try to make adaptation of your processes. So in the next sprint, you will become better with your coordination within the team. So when retrospective has finishes, actually the next sprint starts. Usually people have it like at the end of the day. They book, for instance, Wednesday to have the sprint review session, to have sprint retrospective session, and then on Thursday they start next sprint. You may ask, why not Friday? From my experience, people would like to leave work early on Friday. I think not only from my experience, but from yours experience as well. So usually teams can start from this point of having their sprint end on Friday, but then they would like to shift it on Wednesday or on Thursday, usually on Wednesday or on Tuesday. So again, Scrum doesn't dictate you when you should finish your sprint, and I mean what particular day or particular date. So by the way, you can change the length of the sprint if you like when the sprint is not started yet. For instance, if you need it, again, not if you need it for some, you have some hypothesis that you would like to check. For instance, you would like to finish this sprint on Wednesday to see maybe it will be more comfortable for you to finish your sprint on Wednesday for you and your stakeholders. Maybe Wednesday is a good day for them, more free day to go for your sprint review session. Maybe on Friday they're booked or on Thursday they're booked. So you can change the length of the sprint before the sprint has started, but I don't recommend you to do it too often. You know why? Because the metrics that you're gathering together with your Scrum Master, your development team together with your Scrum Master, I hope you're gathering some metrics during the sprint. So these metrics cannot be very relevant if you're always changing the length of the sprints. And you can be in this way less, if you're not analyzing your metrics, not trying to become better, you will not become too much predictable for your stakeholders, but what the stakeholders want from development team is predictability actually. So that was mostly all about the Scrum framework itself. Definitely there are many other like facts, much more other information about the Scrum framework. There are like trainings, 2-day trainings, 4-day trainings about Scrum, so you can visit it. But for this small portion of time, I hoped it become more clear for you what is Scrum. So Scrum is a framework. There are 3 roles. 1 role is dedicated to the content, to the product itself, the product owner. 1 role is dedicated to the process. It is Scrum Master. And there are also people who are doing their job, delivering this product, developing this product, and delivering this product is a development team. There are 3 artifacts. It is product backlog. The portion of the product backlog becomes sprint backlog that will be delivered during the next sprint. And there is also increment. It is a potentially really reusable product that is created out of this sprint backlog. And there are certain events where the team is meeting one another in order to work on these artifacts and to increase the transparency through regular inspection and adaptation. Such events as sprint itself, planning meeting, daily Scrum meetings, review meeting, and retrospective meeting, and then planning meeting again. And let's talk then about Scrum Master activities during the sprint, and again, about Scrum Master services for the team members. So one of the responsibility of Scrum Master is facilitation of Scrum events. And let's talk in details about one Scrum event that is called Daily Scrum. It is this event where the team gets synchronized. And there are definitely some anti-patterns of this event. Let me share the screen with you again. So here it is. So some anti-patterns, how not to do. And each of the event can have its anti-patterns, but since we don't have lots of time, let's focus on this very short event. Daily Scrum should take no more than 15 minutes. As you see in Scrum, we have this time boxing for all events. The Scrum is telling, the Scrum rules is telling you for how long you can have this or that event. You can read more about the timing in Scrum Guide, but for daily Scrum event, you should spend no more than 15 minutes, not 50, but 15 minutes. It should be enough for the team of up to 9 people to get synchronized. So what it is not recommended for you to do is whenever you're a Scrum Master of the team. For instance, you decided to be a Scrum Master within your guild and to use and to play with Scrum framework for your guild work. So, and decided for some reason, again, to meet each day and to have these daily Scrum meetings. So I wouldn't recommend you to change the day and place all the time, because it increases unpredictability for the people. And again, people should focus on what they're doing, on the product or service, and not think about where to call this time, what time is this daily Scrum. It is shifting 15 minutes, it is shifting 1 hour this day and 1 hour again next day. It provides lots of stress. So try to keep it simple as a Scrum Master. Day and time, the same day, the same time, like each day. Try to avoid a format of status report. So people shouldn't report to you as a Scrum Master. People should have a conversation with one another. You may, as Scrum Master, ask them some questions in order to go deeper into some items if you don't understand what they're people talking about. For instance, they say, okay, I'm doing the task of 200, it's Jira ticket 283. Can you tell us a bit more about this ticket, what it is about? And the person can say, okay, I will do this. Well, do you need any help about this task? Because it seems that you're doing it for 3 days already, and the estimation was like 1 day, maybe we can help you with this. I mean, Scrum Master can be challenging, but just be polite and don't do it like with some critics of the people. Just think about that you all need to move to one goal all together. Try to time box this event, and if you hear some third-party discussions, for instance, two developers start talking about the issues that actually only their both are interested into, so as Scrum Master you can say, hey guys, and you can address this question to all of the developers. Hi guys, ladies, would we like to discuss this particular issue during Daily Scrum, or we can have it on meet after meeting? So you can organize meet after meeting after this Daily Scrum and facilitate the discussion of these two engineers afterwards, so no one else is distracted. Try to avoid problem solving excuse me, during Daily Scrum. So people can write down the problems, the issues that they have, and they can address it after the Daily Scrum, just going or calling to the person they would like to have this conversation about these issues just after the meeting, because problem solving take time. And this time, sometimes these 5 or 9 or 10 people don't need to wait till someone solves their problems with someone else. Try to keep focus. So focusing on what are you doing today, or what are you going to do tomorrow, is helping us as a team to move to our goal, to move to our forecasted functionality of forecasted services that we agreed to deliver at the end of sprint. So keep this focus. And try to stop monologues. Yes, definitely, sometimes it's difficult to do, but you may say, okay, guys, we have 15 minutes. We have like 5 people. So let's try to make our discussion within this 15 minutes, and have each of us, let's have like 2 minutes, and I will start. So I will tell you what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do tomorrow. So lead by example and show it how to do it by yourself, and try to come to these two minutes discussion, two minutes monologue, no more, and then just ask someone else to continue. It is how you can facilitate this event. Definitely there are lots of techniques, there are some gamifications, but maybe not for this particular meeting because it's really short, but for some other that Alona. And you can read more about different gamifications, different games for your team using this website that is called Tasty Cupcakes. So you can go there and see lots of gamifications, how to make the life of team more interesting, even in online mode. Let's talk about Scrum Master as a coach. So we talked about Scrum framework in general. So how to organize the work within this frame of Scrum. What is the role of Scrum Master? So the person is coaching the team in Scrum. The person is helping product owner, organization and development team, removing impediments, facilitating events. So, and Scrum Master is also doing the coach job. How to do this? If you're a new Scrum Master and you would like to start doing this, I would recommend you to start with this technique that is called powerful questions. So definitely there are lots of trainings, there are lots of classes on coaching, and sometimes it's a long-term programs of several months, but it can be your first step. So whenever you ask some of your team members about some issues, try to avoid yes no questions. Definitely if you are not aiming to get this answer like yes or not, but would like the person to share with you some information. So maybe it's not a good way to say, is it a problem to you? Is it a problem? Do you have any issues? So you may ask in a different way, what issues do you have with this ticket and how we can help you with this ticket? Not do you need my help, but how we can help you with it. How can I help you with it? Why do you think it should be solved? Because sometimes the person says, okay, that is the problem, but why it is the problem? So go deeper into it. Maybe the person will understand how to resolve it by himself, or what the help he or she is needed for this, like external help. There are examples of questions. Definitely there are more of this kind, like what support do you need to accomplish it? So again, what is necessary to finish it, to fulfill it? What can stop you from achieving this goal? What risks, in other words, what risks do we have with this ticket, with this task, with this product backlog item? Where do you go from here? So when we achieve this, for instance, you can ask your product owner and coach your product owner, when we achieve the goal of this sprint, when you do what is expected from our stakeholders during the current sprint, what will be our next, what will be their next expectations? If you could do it over again, what would you do differently? You even, I think for now, know on which particular Scrum event you can ask this question, your team members. So on retrospective, right? So we did the sprint and now we're gathering together to discuss our processes. So it is a good question to ask them. So if you could do this sprint all over again, what we all could do differently? So what else should I ask you in order to find more about the risks that are in front of us? What questions I have not asked you, but you think the answers for this may be valuable for our work? Again, try to, as a first step in your coaching career, if you would like to follow this career, try to avoid yes/no questions, because they're not extend the conversation, but close it, and you may miss some assumptions, some helpful assumptions for your work from the person if you're asking only yes and no questions. There are other techniques that can help you to become a coach of your team, and one of these techniques is called moving motivators, and I will encourage you to go to the exercise that is about these moving motivators and do it together with your guild team. In this way, you will see how you can coach yourself and help your members to coach themselves. And doing this exercise will help you as a guild. I hope that it will help you as a guild to build more trust and to build more openness. So